This is our second episode of the Roundtable. To my right is Stan Escudero, contributing political writer, former world ambassador under several presidents. And to my left is Bob Tolley, citizen watchdog, Greater New Smyrna Beach. Our topics today, gentlemen, we'll start off with County Council and some surprise movements this week. As you know, Carl Persis had to step down from the county council. His last official business was a workshop on Friday to do with Sunrail, and on Thursday was his final county council meeting. Something to do with the drop program and a conflict of interest. I guess he had to be out of the public sector for 6 months in order to qualify for his pension. Bob, why don't you lead us off in the discussion? Where do you stand on this issue?
Well, the drop program to the taxpayer is becoming more and more apparently important as time goes by and more people learn about it. The news this week about Mr. Persis was, shall we say, very interesting to say the least, especially when it started discussing the amount of the drop program money he was going to receive. What I found more ironic and interesting was the timing of this announcement, considering here we are just a week before Ted Doran had announced at the last minute he was going to run for
qualifying.
So I said to myself, wow, I mean, is the timing really off? Was this a coincidence or is there something else at work? But staying focused on the drop program, I think in the near future we have to address it because it's an issue even bigger than the pensions that the people mostly don't know about.
Stan, where do you stand on the issue of the drop program? As people may or may not know, it's a way for someone to get some extra benefits in the last few years of their public service, except the amounts are pretty high. I believe in that.
Yes, well, that would be my concern with it. The drop program is a way of rewarding people for extended public service, and to that extent, it's probably a pretty good program. But like so many of these things, it's possible to play it if you know how to game the program to excess. And you can find that if you serve in several different county positions over a period of years, you can benefit from several different pensions. If your wife has done the same, she too can benefit. And in the end, you could find yourself pulling down several $100,000 in pensions while still working for the county in yet another position. And I really think that that is, particularly given the sad fiscal state of the county at present, that's simply wrong.
Well, let's just clarify for the sake of the viewership that Mr. Persis's drop program was not related to his work with the county council, but as a principal in the Volusia County School District, I believe in one of the Ormond Beach schools, if not the high school. And I believe the amount was just under $250,000. But he's not the only one. There are judges. The head of the beach patrol just they announced that he was resigning or retiring rather. He's got quite a double digits, six-figure salary as benefits as well coming. One time where they get the benefit all at once, and then that's in addition to their regular pension. Bobby, in this economy, do you think that there's sort of a disconnect? You're really close, more so than Stan, on municipal government, following the stuff going on in New Smyrna and Southeast Volusia Hospital, Bert Fish, with the expenditures. Would you say that people really they just can't relate anymore to what government spends?
Well, I think every time they turn around, they're getting hit with another surprise. This drop program is a perfect example. It's cronyism at its best, at the taxpayer's expense. You take care of me, I'll take care of you. We have so many people in the drop program that they should be forced to be retired from those positions because then another position potentially could open up. Whether it's fire, police, educators, I'm not picking on any group. But if you work at a position such as this gentleman as a school principal, fine, you put your time in, you retire.
Well, I believe what they do is they retire and then they come back for this drop program, and the idea is, I'm not really sure, I've got to study up, to be honest, more on this drop program, but the only thing I know that I can relate to is it's a lot of money.
Tremendous amount of money. And again, it's double dipping at its best. It's taking care of the good old boy network.
Even triple dipping.
Even triple dipping, that's right.
Yes.
And to be clear, Mr. Persis is not a sole benefactor of this. It's rampant
Oh, no.
throughout
I don't
public
believe I
sector
mentioned
government.
Mr. Persis' name. I'm
Right.
talking about the program, not
Right.
Not Mr. Persis.
Now, let's move on to the issue of him stepping down from the county council, this being his last meeting this past week. Does that hurt him or help him in terms of getting his message across? You know, when you're in an incumbent in office, you get your name in the paper on a regular basis. You're pretty much, your name is out there as opposed to a challenger who has to be more creative in letting the public know who he or she is. Stan, why don't you start
Well,
off
in
this
recent
part?
days, Mr. Persis has not lacked for media coverage. I suppose that will tail off after a bit, but he's a very well-known person. He's quite well-known in the Ormond area, which he has been representing. But of course, for the county position, he's running for the entire county. So to the degree that he doesn't get his name in the county-wide media as much as he did, this might work against him a little bit. I think what will work against him more than anything else, though, will be the realization on the part of the people that he is or will be receiving quite large sums of money in pension and even more in salary if he is elected. And some of them may ask themselves, isn't that enough already? How much is enough? And this
Well,
is,
to be clear though, I spoke with
it's
Frank.
not that it's illegal or anything,
Right.
it's just that it's a great deal of money to be paying to one person, particularly in a county like Volusia where expenses are not so very great. If you were living in New York City, that would be a different thing.
I think to be clear, to be abundantly clear, if he gets reseated on the county council as the Volusia County Chair with an outright win in the primary or in the runoff in November, his county position will not add to the drop program. He'll continue to get a salary as a county council person, but that's considered a part-time job, even though these positions pay in excess of $40,000 a year. Again, Bobby, I ask you about the disconnect with the public.
Total disconnect. The problem he has now is he's conflicted out on this issue. The drop issue has got to be addressed. And I mean, if this gentleman gets reelected, it's got to come out. We have to address all these pensions and drop program. How can he sit up there and be in a discussion with this, or possibly even be in a position to vote when he's part of the very problem? I think the news that came out on him was very negative, especially as Stan said, the amount of monies the people now read that he's getting or will get. So I think this announcement, as well as the timing of the announcement, this guy's supposed to be on the ball. How did you just wake up one day and say, hey, wait a minute, I got to resign today, I got a problem. Hello? So I believe this was very negative for him. I don't know what the outcome of the election is going to be, but I will tell you this, Ted Doran will definitely shake up this election now.
But Ted Doran has that sort of negative connotation, the power attorney, the one who brokered this big deal for the advertising authority, the new director for the Halifax Advertising Authority Board, power broker with the school board, and other issues. I mean, can he really knock off someone like Persis, who's really going to become, if he's elected, the new face of Volusia County? Stan?
Well, it's hard to know, obviously. We won't know until the elections are over, but I think that it would be unfair to characterize Mr. Doran, on the one hand, as a representative of the elite power structure of Volusia County without characterizing Mr. Persis in the same way, given that he's been on the county council for a number of years. And has been a prominent figure certainly in the Ormond area for many more. It seems to me that also that Mr. Doran, how should I put it? He's taken an interesting stance in the early part of his campaign. I heard a speech he made the other day in DeBarry, in which he was appealing directly to the voters on the west side of the county, arguing that I think he said something like if Mr. Obama is the first gay president, Mr. Clinton was the first black president, that he would like to be the first West Side County Council chairman, which I thought was an interesting argument. He's not from the West Side, of course, but his argument was that he would pay a special attention to their interests, given the fact that the majority of the voting population now lives in the west side of the county. That may turn out to be a clever move. Again, we'll have to wait and see.
And who feel, for the most part, they're ignored. That's why he was on board.
They certainly feel that way, yes.
As I mentioned, it's going to be very interesting with Doug Ted now in the race.
You got to remember, guys, too, that when politicians or aspiring elected officials make statements like that, they're pandering for votes. And, you know, it's so typical to say. I would have liked to have heard him say that I would represent all of Volusia County. After all, the Volusia County chair, that is what that person is supposed to do. And it seems like it's taking advantage of a situation where, you know, he's got media because of the Persis fallout.
Surely you're not suggesting that a politician, any politician, would take advantage of the
Oh,
situation?
no.
Just
of course
like
not.
No, I just wanted to make sure.
Well, with the lively discussion on segment one, we'll be back in a moment.